This is a quick summary of perfect verbs and how verbs are formed. Let's start with verbs itself. So every verb has 3 root letters in Hebrew. And so the first thing that you need to find when you are parsing a verb or trying to translate a verb, you need to find these 3 root letters. As an example that we've been looking at is the verb katal, which means to kill. So you have the 3 root letters, Kof, Tet, and Lamet. Now, if you are looking at a verb and it is, for example, a perfect, the first thing you need to do is find these 3 root letters. Here are another examples. For example, bana, which means to build. So you have bet, nun, and he at the end. The second thing that you need to look at is the form of a verb, and with the perfect all the forms are at the end. So over here as an example there is a T, which would be perfect first common singular. The perfect tells you 2 things. This T at the end, or it can be something else, tells you 2 things. First of all, that it is a perfect, which is a completed action, and second of all, it tells you the person that is doing the action or the subject of the action. T would be, for example, I, or ta would be you. So if we put it on a verb that we have, katal, then we could say katal T. Notice I didn't put any vowels right now. You just have the consonants and T at the end. So now you know it's a perfect, so it's a completed action. And T, you know it's a first common singular. This is a chart for all the perfect endings. So they are T, ta, t, nothing for the 3ms. Then A, the feminine sound for the 3fs. In the plural, you have nu, tem, ten, and u. In this chart, you can notice some things that are similar to the suffixes, the pronominal suffixes. The ta is just a change from the kaf, which was as a pronominal suffix. So you had cha, ch, chem, chen as the suffixes. Now you have ta, te, tem, ten. That's identical. Again, you just change the kaf to tet and you have the perfect endings, second person. For the first person, you have the E, which is the first person, like my, me. T, that's the first person sound. Nu, it's the first person plural sound. And then over here in the third feminine singular, you also have A, which is the feminine sound. To make plurals, mem stands for mem, masculine, right? So it's a masculine plural, and nun stands for feminine plural. We'll see these later as well. So mem is always masculine plural ending, and nun is feminine plural ending. Mem we also already saw in suffixes, but also in the noun endings. If you have a masculine plural, it's im. It ends with the mem, the masculine plural. So these are the perfect endings. They tell you the kind of action, perfect, completed, and also tell you the person. The next thing that you need to look at are the vowels, and those vowels tell you what stem is the verb in. So the stems are kal, nifal, piel, pual, hitpal, hifil, hofal. Kal, pial are active, nifal, pual are passives, hitpal reflexive, hifil is the causative active, and hofal is causative passive. So this is how it would work. For example, if we have these vowels, so these vowels under the 3 root letters will tell you that this is a kal. If we put the verb that we use, katal, then this would be the vowels, katal T. The a, long a or kamets, tells you that this is kal. Here is a summary of the stem vowels, and the ones that are circled are those that I need you to know, need you to learn. For kal, so active simple is the a. For nifal, there is a ni before the 3 root letters. Notice this is not part of the root. You have katal, right? And this nun is before the 3 root letters. For pl, the active intensive, you need 2 things. You need the e under the first root letter and the dagesh in the middle. The dagesh in the middle applies to all the PL groups. So PL, pual, hit, pile, that's a single group. So PL is the active, pual is the passive of PL, and it needs the U under the first root letter plus the dagesh. And finally, the reflexive of PL is a hit pile, and you need the hit at the beginning and the dagesh in the middle. Finally, the causatives, he, feel, ho, file. He, feel is the active, it needs the he before the 3 root letters, and then it's the E sound after the second root letter. Now, most of the time it's also going to get the extra yod. This yod is just a vowel. It goes together with the hirik. It's a hirik yod. It's a long E. However, it doesn't have to be there. Sometimes there is only this hirik underneath. But either way, whether it is there or it's not there, the pronunciation will be the same. So you need the E and E after the second root letter. And finally, ho file needs the ho before the 3 root letters. One thing to notice that the vowels of the perfect stems are identical to the names of the actual stems. So kal would be a, nifal is the ni, pl is the p, right? Pual is the u, hitpal is the hit, he feel you have the ee, and hofal you have the o a. Okay. The meaning of the stems, the actives, simple and intensive, translate them the same in English. I will kill, or in the perfect, it would actually be in the past tense. So let's start with I killed for both kal and pl. For the passive of kal, the nifal is I was killed. Same for the pual, I was killed. And finally, the reflexive of PL, the hit pile, would be I killed myself. The doer and the receiver of the action is the same. So I killed myself, I taught myself, I fed myself, etc. The causatives always start with, so we start with the person I, subject always has to be first in English, and then you put caused to, and that will always be the same. So I caused to, you caused to, he, she, it, etc. And then you just put the verb I caused to kill. In parentheses, you could put there someone. Okay, so I caused, you can say, for example, David or someone to kill someone else, right? And for the passive, you have the same sentence, but in the passive form. So it would be, I was caused to kill. Again, by someone. Someone else did it. So here, I did the causing, active, he feel. Passive is, I was caused. Someone else did it to me, right? Someone else made me kill. I made someone kill in he feel. Hofal would be, I was made to kill. Someone made me. So how do you translate verbs once you parse them into English? So start with the meaning of the 3 root letters. For example, bana would be to build, katal would be to kill. Next step, you find the verb form. So we already saw that it was perfect. So it's a completed action. And you have the person I or you. So putting those together would be, with the verb bana, would be I built something. With the verb kill would be I killed someone or something. Okay. And the step number 3, once you see which, if it is active or passive or reflexive, etc., then you can put that in. So for the kal or pl would be I built a house. For the passive, the house was built. For the reflexive could be I built myself. For he feel would be I caused to build. And for the passive would be I was caused to build. So perfect translation is simple past tense. I built a house. The idea is completed action. The house is finished right now. Here are 3 examples. Dibarta. So you have davar. Those are your 3 letters, which means to speak. We have the ta, which tells us 2 things. First of all, it's a perfect. And second of all, tells us the person. That's to ms. And then we look at the vowels. We have the E and the dagesh in the middle that tells us it's a PL, which is a simple active. So you said, past tense. The next example, ve'anashim shulchu. So the verb is right here. Again, we have shalach, which means to send. That's your root letters, 3 root letters. U at the end, again, tells us 2 things. First of all, it tells us that it's a perfect, and second of all, it tells us that it is 3rd common plural. So to translate it is they were, they sent. However, then we have the vowels, and we see that this is U with the dagesh in the middle, so it's a pual, so it's a passive. So they didn't do the action was done to them, so they were sent. And the subject we have here, ve'hanashim, and the men were sent. So notice the passive, the men didn't do the sending because it's a pual, but they received the action, so they were sent. And final example, Vadonai hishmiya et machane aram kol rechev kol sus kol chayil gadol. The verb is right here in color. So we have the 3 root letters, which is shama, which means to hear. We have no ending, which we know that it is 3rd masculine singular. So it's a perfect 3rd masculine singular, completed action. And in yellow, those are the vowels. So you have he and e, which is he feel. So he caused to, and now we have, what did he cause to? He caused to hear. So here is the whole sentence. And the Adonai, and Lord, caused to hear et hamachane, the camp of Aram, kol rachav, a voice of chariots, kol sus, voice of horses, kol chayil gadol, voice of a great power or a great army. Okay, moving on. Vav. What happens when you add vav to a perfect verb? This simple vav is called vav conjunction. So first of all, how do you recognize it? We start with our 3 root letters, and then we have our form of the verb, which tells us that this is a perfect, and it tells us the person. T would be 1cs. Then we look at the vowels. Those tell us that this would be kal. And finally, the vav at the beginning tells us this is a simple vav conjunction. This is how it would look like. Va katal t. What vav does, this is point number 4 here in green, it reverses the tense of the English verb. Note that the type of the action is still the same. So if it is a perfect without the vav, it's still a perfect with the vav. And perfect is a completed action, therefore with the vav it's still completed action, but now it's going to be completed action in the future. So this is how it works. Regular perfect, I built a house. Past tense, completed action, the house is finished. With the vav conjunction, the sentence would be translated as I will build a house. It is still completed action. The house is still going to be finished, but now the action is going to happen in the future. Here are some examples. Here are 3 examples. V'divarte elav. So we have vav conjunction, the root form, the 3 root letters, davar, And then we have t at the end, which is second feminine singular, and it is perfect. And then at the end we have l, which means to, and v, it is him. So the translation would be, and she will say to him. So, I'm sorry, it's not she, it's, and you will say to him. This is a feminine. So notice that without the vav, the sentence would read, and you said to him. But because we have the vav, the completed action is going to happen in the future, and you will say to him. Next example. ולקחה גם מעץ החיים ואכל וחי לעולם. So we have three verbs here. The parsing is the same for all of them. The first two are regular. The last one is irregular. Notice here on the bottom, I actually gave you the root. It's from chaya, and the final he dropped, and you don't have to worry right now why. You just need to know it is from chaya, it is kal, and the parsing is the same as the other two. So here's the parsing. We have the three root letters, lakach, achal, and chaya. They mean to take. Lakach, achal means to eat, chaya means to live. We have vavs, vav conjunctions on all of them. If they have no ending, that is 3ms, and they're all kals, right? Perfect. So here's the translation. And he will take also me'etz, from the tree, ha'chaim, the living, so the tree of the living or tree of life, ve'achal, and he will eat, ve'chai leolam, and he will, chaya means to live, and he will live, leolam, forever. And a final example, vanivchu bo kol goye haaretz. The verb is at the beginning. By the way, in Hebrew, most of the time the regular sentence order verb is always at the beginning. After that is the subject, and finally is the object. So we start with the verb. The root letters are bachar, which means to bless. We have a u at the end, which tells us that this is third common plural, perfect. So we know it's a completed action, and we know that it is, the subject is third common plural. We have the nun at the beginning, which tells us it's the ni, which tells us it's a nifal, so it's going to be passive in English. And finally, we have the vav conjunction. So the translation would be, they will be blessed. So they are not doing the blessing because it's a passive, so they will be blessed. And the sentence is, and they will be blessed in him all the nations of the earth. And then you can make it smoother, and in him all nations of the earth will be blessed. Again, and in him all nations of the earth will be blessed.